Hi everyone. Today we're going to discuss about state formation. So the state formation lecture today consists of four contents. First of all, I will discuss with you about the concept, and then we talk about the form of government, the form of state structure, and finally we're going to talk about the political regime. Talking about the state formation, we're going to talk about how a state is created, organized, and executed the power in a country. Normally, the state formation consists of three elements: the form of government, the structure of the state, and political regime. In the concept of state formation, you should focus on two issues: the organization of power and the methods to perform the power. For the organization of power, you should answer the question, where the power comes from? I mean, we look at the origin of power. If you talk about the mode of supreme power organized, so mean we talk about the form of the government. But if you talk about the mode of local power organized, we're talking about the structure of state. And for the way to perform the power, normally we can say a political regime. They have two ways to perform the power: democratic and anti-democratic. Democratic means the belief that everyone in a country had the right to express their opinion, and that power should be held by people who are elected, or a system of the government based on this belief. The country was celebrating its return to democracy. And how about anti-democratic? Anti-democratic opposite the democratic process or democracy, especially by the use of force to keep the power or to control the power. Look at my slide, and you can see here form of government. Form of government is how to create another agency of state supreme power of a country. So we have two types of form of government: the form of monarchy and a republic. The form of government have some characteristics. They are agency that control the power, how the supreme power formed, and the relationship between agency. So in here, you should focus on the central power. The power divided into three rights: legislative, executive, and judicial. So how the power is established? So the way to establish the power via election, appointment, and hereditament. And if you focus the relationship between agency, so they have two ways to recognize its relationship. They are hierarchy or equality. Now I want to mention to you about the state formation. That is monarchy. Monarchy is a formation of a state in which all powers belong to one person or a group of persons. So in the monarchy, a government in which the supreme power is locked in the hands of a person engaged in reigning to reign over a state or territory, usually for life. With the monarchy, you should remember that whether a part of or all the state powers belong to the head of state, and the supreme power is established by hereditament, transfer the power from generations to generation, and controlling time of the supreme power cannot be defined in terms of time. There can be different types. We have absolute monarchy and constitutional monarchy. An absolute monarchy is ungoverned by any laws and can technically do whatever he or she wants. The imperative will still be influenced by other groups under him. As for Constitutional Monarchy Act, within a guideline of Constitution, Qatar, Saudi Arabia are two examples of absolute monarchies. Japan and the United Kingdom are examples of constitutional monarchies. With absolute monarchy, all the power or supreme power is locked in the hands of a person who can control over the state and territory, usually for life. So all the supreme powers of the state focuses on the king. The king has the highest power. And you can take an example from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, State of Brunei, Qatar, or Oman. For constitutional monarchy, the supreme state power is divided into two sides. One side is still a king, and on the other, a group of people elected by people, known as the National Assembly or Parliament. In the constitutional monarchy, we can divide them into two categories: dualistic monarchy and parliamentary monarchy. For dualistic monarchy, the head of state is limited in legislative power, but still holds executive power. For today, just a few studies still keep that state formation. Now let's move to the republic system. Republic system is the form of government in which the all powers of sovereignty are vested in the people and are exercised by the people, either directly or through representatives chosen by the people, to whom those powers are specially delegated. The word republic derived from the Latin res publica, or public thing, refer to a form of government where the citizens conduct their affairs for their own benefit rather than for the benefit of a ruler. The republic system has three characteristics. First, supreme power is held by a state organ or a number of state organs. Second, the power is established by election. And the last one, supreme power is held in term. In the republic system, we can see they have a number of forms, listing republican aristocracy system, presidential system, semi-presidential system, and parliamentary system. For republican aristocracy system, that is a form of representative government in which the nobility lead on the country. The right to vote is privilege of the nobility. The citizens have no right to vote. A presidential system is a form of government where a head of government is also the head of the state, and lists an executive branch that is separate from the legislative branch. Look at an example from the United States of America, House of Representatives and Senate. The House plays a major role in government, mainly that of initiating on revenue-based legislation. Any proposal that uses tax dollars must come from the House, which Senate review and approval. The Senate, on the other hand, has sole power of approval on foreign treaties and cabinet and the judicial nominations, including appointment to the Supreme Court. As for President, the President does not propose legislation, but the President vetoes the legislation of the legislative branch, and then turns to the legislature by a majority vote, may be used to disapprove the President's veto. President has given term. The executive branch is held by one person. The members of the cabinet serve as the discretion of the President, and to implement the policy of the executive and legislative branches. The executive is elected and often titled President, and it is not responsible to the legislature and cannot, in normal circumstances, dismiss it. The legislature might have the right, in extreme cases, to dismiss the executive, often through impeachment. However, such dismissals are seen as to raise and not to contradict a central tenet of presidentialism. That is, in normal circumstances, use normal means, the legislature cannot dismiss the executive. In case of impeachment, the House determines if charges can be brought against the official, and a simple majority vote approves or rejects the filing of charges, the impeachment process. If approved, the Senate then serves as an investigative or judicial body to determine if the charge merit removing the accused official from his or her office. However, the vote in Senate have to present a significant majority, usually taken to mean 67 of the 100 votes. The Republic Parliament is a form of government that operates under parliamentary system of government, where the executive branch derives its legal power from and is accountable to the legislature. The parliamentary republic is characterized by a principle of leadership of parliament, and the government bears political responsibility for the activity. The government is formed only parliamentary by from among party leaders. The head of the state in parliamentary republic, as a rule, is selected by parliament. The president is formally allocated with considerable powers, but in practice does not render almost all influence on government. In semi-presidential system, that is a republican system of government that combines elements from presidential democracy and parliamentary democracy. Typically, the head of state is the president, directly elected by the people with a large degree of power over the government, which the head of government is the prime minister nominated by the president, but who can be dismissed by the legislature. Typically, an agreement is reached over with up the two heads, state and government, which had a lead in policy areas. For example, in France, as well-known example of semi-presidential democracy, the president leads foreign policy and the prime minister leads domestic policy. In this state formation, a president who is popularly elected The President has considerable constitutional authority. There exists also a Prime Minister and Cabinet, subject to the confidence of the Assembly majority. A unitary state is a state governed as one single power, in which the central government is ultimately supreme and any administrative divisions or subnational units exercise only power that their central government chooses to delegate. The unitary structure have some characteristics. Firstly, unitary sovereignty, so have only one sovereignty in the state, and have a unitary state organ system, and have only one legal system from the central to locality. A federal state is one that brings together a number of different political communities with a common government for a common purposes, and separate states or provincials or cantonal governments for the particular purpose of each community. The United States of America, Canada, Australia, or Switzerland are all federal states. Federalism combines unity and diversity. In federal state or other subnational units share sovereignty within the central government, and the state constituting the federal have an existence and power functions that cannot be unilaterally changed by the central government. In some cases, it is federal government that has only those powers expressly delegated to it. In the federal structure, the state have dual sovereignty. One belongs to the federal and one belongs to the states. And a dual nationality and more than one unitary state organ system. One belongs to the state and one belongs to the federal. And of course, more than one legal system. The United States as an ensemble of a federal state. Under the U.S. Constitution, power is shared between the federal government of the United States and the U.S. states, with the 10 amended donate at the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the state, are reserved to the state respectively, or to the people. Now let's move to the last part, political regime. As I said before, political regime consists of democratic and anti-democratic form. Democratic means the belief that everyone in the country has the right to express their opinion, and that power should be held by people who are elected, or a system of government based on this belief. The country was celebrating its return to democracy. For anti-democratic, so that is opposite the democratic process of democracy, especially by the use of force. So in this form, the citizen may be limited or has no right to participate in election to choose the person who controls the state.